So over the past 9 months or so, I've been using the 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about why these are my two primary flagship phone daily drivers and why I can't quit either of them. Let's find out. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. And what we're going to do in this episode is I'm going to talk about a few reasons why I'm not going to quit this one and why I can't quit this one. And let me just make this very clear before anybody says, well, why isn't the S26 Ultra in this video? Why isn't the best S series phone not here? This should be in this video, not the Z Fold 7. And the reason why is because I just like the innovations of foldables. I like what they do for me productivity wise. Productively, whatever you want to say, it's more productive for me than a slab phone on the Samsung side. And I think that the One UI you're getting more usage out of it with like the features it can do on a Z Fold phone, especially when it's unfolded. All right, guys, so let's talk about the very first one with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it has to be the ecosystem. Now, the Apple Watch Ultra is my favorite smartwatch here, and people are going to say, well, this guy over here, he has a Android phone here, the Z Fold 7, talks about Samsung, but he's wearing an Apple Watch. We know what side he's on. No, actually, I wear this watch whether I'm using my iPhone or not, just because I like its battery life, I like its performance, and I like the watch faces and stuff of that sort. I just enjoy the Apple Watch Ultra, whether I'm using my Z Fold or iPhone, it doesn't matter. And I have Galaxy Watch Ultra. I also have, OnePlus Watch. I have other premium smartwatches from the other side, and I just don't enjoy them as much. So that doesn't mean I don't use Android. It just means it's my preferred smartwatch right here. So let's get that out of the way. And other things about the ecosystem is the very seamless connections with your Mac, especially obviously your watch or iPad and the AirPods and stuff of that sort. While Samsung's ecosystem is very strong, similarly strong, especially in those mobile products, I do not like how when I go over to the laptop, it's Windows and then I'm on Android here and then I'm on the Wear OS, and I just feel like Apple's system is just a lot more the same. Like whether you're using an Apple Watch, whether you're using an iPad, it just kind of feels like you're using the same product in different sizes all day long. Whereas I feel like I'm going over to a Windows experience when I'm on my Galaxy Book, or I'm going over to a Wear OS experience on the watch. It just doesn't all feel quite as matched up. So Apple to me is still the king over there when it comes to the ecosystem. Another reason why I just can't quit the iPhone 17 Pro Max is its cameras. It has some of the best, if not the best, cameras on a smartphone today for some folks. And the reason why is because it has great focus, has great image results. When you take a photo, they show you the preview. Even when you're looking at the preview, you're already seeing how sharp it's most likely going to look before you even snap that photo. You do have yourself very nice macro modes, plenty of zoom up to 40 times for what you need, and you also have pretty much some of the best video in the game. Now, there are Android smartphones, especially from the likes of Oppo, that are outshining this phone for sure, and especially from some other makers like Xiaomi doing some really great higher sensor tier. But it's just the iPhone gives me a nice, reliable result, and it's one I like to recommend to consumers because it kind of just is easy and everything doesn't really need to be set up like in a pro modes or anything like that. And everything just works and syncs up with social media. So some of the best cameras out there for sure on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and also backing it out super wide. It's just unmatched. I just can't get down with the Z Fold cameras by comparison to the 17 Pro Max, although they are pretty good. They at least included the main 200 megapixel offering though here. And finally, the Galaxy Z Fold 7's hardware finally meets polished software. What I mean by that, well, they've had pretty polished software for some time, but the hardware is now feeling very finished. We just have to get rid of the crease a little bit more. And yes, my crease is a little bit more noticeable as my phone is several months old, going on a year already, but it's not horrible for being a year old. But still, other foldables are starting to get rid of that crease way better than the Z Fold 7. But where the Z Fold 7 still shines is similar to Apple, has very good software, very nice ecosystem to match it. And also, it kind of does have like this nice experience where you can have different pages on the home screen, a whole different experience on the inner screen, Samsung Decks. The way they do multitasking is so intuitive. I absolutely love it. So you can bring up right here and then just bring in an application on the side. I actually grabbed the same one on accident. Let's go ahead and bring in, how about we bring in settings right here? So just kind of like you would do on something like an iPad, for example, or even a Galaxy Book, or a Galaxy tablet, excuse me. If I go over here to applications here and I bring in Brave, I could bring it over here. Or if I want to slide over here to this edge area, I can bring in some other applications from this side and then bring it into a third application to split into there. So let's go ahead and bring in eBay, for example. And you'll see just 3 different apps. You can also flip these around. So what I love about it is when your brain thinks about how to move these things around, Samsung has included the feature the way you would expect it. So if I tap here, I would want to move this around like this, and it just does it. So if I go ahead and move this up, I would want it to do that, and it does exactly what I want it to do. So it's very intuitive. Now, I do like those triple split screens on some other foldables where they bring it into the portrait orientation, have a triple split screen across. You'll find that on some of the other folds out there, folding phones, but I think the way Samsung does multitasking is a little bit more intuitive. So I do like this. Everything about it just feels refined. It feels mature. And it's absolutely excellent to use this device day to day. So that's one of the reasons I'm just not quitting Z Fold 7. You know, until Apple brings out a foldable that can match or surpass that, I don't know that I'm going to ever stop using the Fold line. I've been using the Z Folds for years if you've been watching the channel. Now, another reason I can't quit the iPhone 17 Pro Max, though, is it's a frictionless phone, basically. Battery, apps, software. Yes, we get a couple of glitches here and there, a couple of app crashes occasionally, but when you're busy, when you're tired, when you just don't got time like that to be dealing with little issues on your phone, this one just doesn't give a lot of them. It just doesn't. Doesn't die on you in the middle of the day, doesn't crash apps often, doesn't glitch really, just always performs well. It's just like an old trusty. This kind of feels like an extremely reliable car that just never breaks down. It just always works very smoothly. Definitely that's what the 17 Pro Max feels like in terms of its frictionless experience. Some people would say, well, it's not frictionless if you can't even access settings from the camera. You got to go in there and you got to do that, and you got to set up this, and you got to double tap that. You don't have to use all that stuff. You can just use the apps on the home screen and keep it pretty simple. Yeah, there's not split screen multitasking, but that creates an extra decision you got to do. When I have the brain capacity, meaning that I'm not drained or whatever that day, I don't mind using some of my own energy and my mental energy to manage multiple split screen applications on something like a Z Fold. And that's why I think that's an excellent tool for those times. But when you just want a simple one app at a time experience, the iPhone 17 Pro Max is just really, really good at this, combining that with a beautiful 6.9-inch display, and a very good one at that, with a very nice anti-reflective property, very well-tuned calibration. You don't really got to go and dig around and play with display settings because they kind of nailed it with its calibration. Also, you can turn on True Tone or not, and this is one of the few mainstream phones that's not one of those Honor phones or something like that that does have a PWM option. If you go into accessibility over here and you hit display, not hover text, display, and you scroll down, you will find that PWM option right there. The Z Fold 7 though, I can't quit it because I really actually like its front display. Now, if you take a look at the iPhone and the Z Fold 7, they are kind of like a similar height, not too much different there. But the Z Fold 7 is noticeably narrower, but not as narrow as before, but still narrow enough to give it a very easy one-handed experience. So while this is a lot better than previous super narrow Z Fold phones, it's still not so wide that it's hard to reach things. And look at that, you have a number row on there. iPhone still doesn't have a number row on their keyboard. And also, if this is still too big, you could just bring it down one hand. So this is a pretty easy to use one hand phone. It is a bit slippery because the edges in the phone itself are pretty smooth. And it does dig into the palm a little bit in the corners due to its rectangular shape, but it also gives it a unique look that's pretty iconically the Z Fold line. But generally, I do think that because of that one-handed usability on the front, I actually enjoy that it can feel more compact in the day-to-day than something like the Ultra Samsung, but also give you that nice 8-inch mini tablet-like screen on the front. If you take a look at this 8-inch tablet I have here, I'm going to actually review this on my second channel. It's an On tablet from Walmart, but you can see right here, it's almost the size of an 8-inch tablet right there. Turn it sideways. So pretty nice size screen, but take a look at this. When you fold it, now a regular tablet just becomes an extremely large thing to carry around versus something like this. So This is really pretty neat. They've got it this thin, this light, but still giving you that massive 8-inch interior display. And I just can't quit the 17 Pro Max, and I keep talking about it throughout the year because of its amazing battery life. It continues to shine even with 143 cycles on here. I know you guys are probably got more than me on there, but again, still, you know, this thing just lasts and lasts and lasts all throughout the day. So it's an old trusty, man. It kind of reminds me of the 13 Pro Max, where that phone just kept going the distance. And somebody said the other day that when this phone becomes a used option, it's going to be a great pickup, used, great value. And I agree with them. You're going to have a phone you can get at a cheaper price in just a year or two here with a used iPhone 17 Pro Max that's not drained super bad on battery, and you're going to get yourself a stellar experience for less money than it was new. So yeah, I can't quit the iPhone because of that stellar battery life. And to speak on battery life with the Z Fold 7, it hasn't been stellar. You know, it definitely needs a charge at about 8 p.m. for me. Some people say they get through a full day and then some. I'm not seeing that on my Z Fold 7. They do need to up the size. Some of these other foldables with the silicon carbon technology are really outshining this phone there. But it's not bad. I mean, it's still, I'm not like worried about the battery as long as I charge it. I can get through a day, but it's just not blowing me away. Like, I'm not going to the second. This one, I could fall asleep with plenty of battery life to spare, wake up the next day and not be worried at all about my battery life. So that's pretty awesome. And one of the reasons I just can't quit the Z Fold 7 is its actual operates like a real, like, full web pages. You got the width right here to operate this in those full web pages. Hold on, let's go to apple.com here. We'll just hit Apple. But then if I want to go to Samsung, I could just open that in a new tab right there. I could look at some Samsung stuff, look at some Apple stuff, and I'm clicking through as if I was on an actual computer. Having that experience is really good. And then when you're like, let's say you're going to get on support with somebody, you could have support over here, text message someone over here. I mean, the list is endless. I just love what you can do with the Galaxy Z Fold 7 versus a slab phone. It's just not even close. So the iPhone can only dream of that at this point, but that dream's about to be fulfilled soon when this foldable iPhone does launch. Another reason I just can't quit the Z Fold 7 is its camera flexibility. Now, while this camera isn't the best, not even close to the best out there, it is pretty flexible in that you can use the cover screen preview on here. You can use the back camera, you can unlock it like that, and you could use the rear camera for the selfie. So technically you can actually get maybe a sharper selfie than even the iPhone on this, but you'll have to use the rear cameras. I think this is pretty cool for when you are like trying to frame people, they could see how they look. It's very flexible. Also, you can kind of prop this camera up like so, and then you can kind of like find other angles and shots you want to take. Use the camera down there and change between different megapixels. So pretty good experience, I would say, overall. Very, very nice, and you don't really have a lot of issues there. Samsung is using their older front-facing camera on here, the 10 megapixels, so it's not like an amazing selfie, but it gets the job done. And generally, if you like Samsung results, you'll enjoy the Z Fold 7, but on zoom, it falls apart, and it's just not close to an iPhone 17 Pro Max in my experience on the camera, but it is pretty flexible, so I do like those options. So wrapping it up, for all those reasons, I just can't quit my iPhone 17 Pro Max or Galaxy Z Fold 7. Well, at least until the next versions that are even better than these come out, as we're always going to stay on the latest and greatest here for the channel because we want to keep you guys updated so you know if you should upgrade or not your older device. But I gotta say that it's pretty much a dream to use these two phones. But here's the problem: if you like want to use something on this phone that this one offers, it's kind of just don't have the option, and vice versa. For example, on the Z Fold 7, you might want the great camera experience from the iPhone. You don't get it. You might want that long battery life. You don't get it. Maybe you want that peace of mind where you don't got to worry about the crease, you know, the hinge, anything like that. And while they've improved durability a lot, something in your brain still goes, I better take care of this phone more than this type of phone. This phone with a case on it, you just throw this thing around like it's nothing. I'm not really like that with the Z Fold 7. Z Fold 7 reminds me of a fancy car that you're just going to take care of and be careful not to mess it up. This phone right here is like it's like a premium sturdy car that you'll just drive and just, you know, it's durable. Like, I got this. It's going to be good. I just throw this thing around with my case on all day. So this one just gives me that. But having these experiences that are just exclusive to each makes it very difficult to say one is really better than the other. But the Z Fold 7, I say, is definitely more innovative for sure. I think it is more useful from a productivity standpoint, but the actual software updates, reliability, to more stable. And I do have to say that the updates are a little bit more stable on the Z Fold 7, but they're just more frequent on the iPhone. And also the camera, just kind of the whole package is just a little bit more, I would say, matured on the iPhone, but the Z Fold 7 is really getting very close. They just need to put the more flagship cameras on here, improve the battery life, fix the crease a little bit. It's game over. It's basically an iPhone, perfect iPhone competitor for a Samsung phone. So it's getting pretty good. Excited about what the Z Fold 8 is to bring, or the Z Fold Wide. We'll see what that brings as well. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy the rest of your day. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.